Welcome back to Blind Spot, where we dissect the world through a scientific lens and a touch of mind-blowing humor. Today, we will explore a seasoning that completely changed human history. Not salt, not pepper, but a black powder that sent knights to museums and turned fireworks into the soul of every party. Yes, we are talking about gunpowder. Note that this is early-stage gunpowder, so you can distinguish it from smokeless powder, which debuted in 1884. Gunpowder did not begin as a weapon. It began as a mistake. In the 9th century during China's Tang Dynasty, alchemists were searching for something far more hopeful, an elixir of immortality. Their laboratories were filled with minerals, powders, and experimental mixtures. Instead of eternal life, they created fire. The substance they discovered behaved unlike anything they had seen before. When ignited, it burned violently. Sparks flew, flames surged, pressure built rapidly inside confined spaces. Without realizing it, those early experimenters had created gunpowder, one of the most influential chemical inventions in human history. At its core, gunpowder is surprisingly simple. It contains only 3 ingredients: saltpeter, charcoal, sulfur. Saltpeter, or potassium nitrate, acts as the oxidizer. It supplies the oxygen needed for combustion. Charcoal serves as the fuel, burning rapidly and releasing energy. Sulfur lowers the ignition temperature and helps the reaction spread more efficiently. When these 3 materials are combined in the correct proportions, they create a reaction powerful enough to launch projectiles, break stone, and reshape warfare. Interestingly, gunpowder was not originally intended for battle. Early Chinese records describe its use in fireworks and primitive explosives. Fire arrows, rockets, and simple bombs appeared long before cannons or firearms. The mixture was unpredictable, but spectacular. And like most useful knowledge, it did not stay in one place. Over centuries, the formula traveled west along the Silk Road, from China to the Middle East, and eventually to Europe. With each new region came experimentation, refinement, and new purposes. By the late 14th century, gunpowder had transformed warfare. Cannons appeared on battlefields. Firearms soon followed. Stone castles that once dominated medieval warfare began to crumble under explosive force. Armored knights, once nearly unstoppable, suddenly faced weapons capable of piercing steel from a distance. A simple chemical mixture had quietly rewritten the rules of war. To understand gunpowder production, we begin with its most critical component: saltpeter. Without saltpeter, gunpowder would not function. Saltpeter supplies the oxygen that allows the mixture to burn rapidly, even inside confined spaces. Historically, it was extracted from soil rich in decomposing organic matter, animal waste, manure, and decaying plants. These materials slowly accumulated nitrate compounds over time. The soil was then processed to extract usable saltpeter. The process was slow, unpleasant, and labor-intensive, but absolutely necessary. The second ingredient was charcoal. Charcoal acts as the fuel that powers the reaction. Its job is simple: burn quickly and release energy. It is produced through pyrolysis, a process where wood is heated in a low-oxygen environment. Instead of turning to ash, the wood becomes a lightweight carbon structure full of tiny pores. These pores increase surface area, allowing charcoal to ignite rapidly. Good charcoal burns hot, fast, and consistently, perfect for gunpowder. The final ingredient is sulfur. Sulfur lowers the ignition temperature of the mixture and helps the chemical reaction spread efficiently. Unlike saltpeter or charcoal, Sulfur was often mined directly from the earth, particularly in volcanic regions where natural deposits were common. Once these three ingredients were gathered, the real challenge began. Because gunpowder production required precision. Centuries of experimentation eventually produced a reliable ratio: 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, 10% sulfur. Even small deviations could affect performance. Too little oxidizer and the powder burns weakly. Too much fuel and the mixture becomes unstable. Reliability was essential. In early firearms and cannons, poor gunpowder could mean a failed shot or a catastrophic explosion. Before mixing, each ingredient had to be ground into a fine powder. Early producers used mortars and pestles. Later, mechanical grinders were introduced. Grinding increased the surface area of the particles, allowing them to react more efficiently during combustion. Only after grinding could the ingredients be combined. Once the ingredients are finely ground, they enter the incorporation stage, historically the most dangerous step due to the risk of friction-induced explosions. To ensure consistent performance, the mixture is pushed through sieves for granulation, forming grains between 1 and 3 millimeters. Finally, the corning process is used to compress the powder into solid cakes before breaking them into sturdy granules. This ensures the gunpowder remains stable during transport and burns predictably upon ignition. Because gunpowder is extremely sensitive to heat, sparks, and friction, storage requires strict protocols. It was traditionally kept in wooden kegs rather than metal containers to eliminate the risk of accidental sparks. Large supplies were housed in specialized powder magazines, isolated buildings located far from populated areas to mitigate the impact of disasters caused by lightning or mishandling. These dangers led to the development of the first formal safety procedures in chemical history. With just saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur, gunpowder reshaped human civilization. In warfare, it shattered fortified walls and rendered traditional plate armor obsolete. Yet its impact extended far beyond destruction. It served peaceful industries through mining, construction, and the creation of brilliant fireworks. This simple chemical formula, once known as huoyao, fire medicine, altered the course of history, from the chaos of the battlefield to the grandeur of imperial celebrations. Thank you for watching. If there are other inventions or historical topics you would like explored, feel free to share them in the comments. And if this journey into the history of gunpowder was interesting, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and staying tuned for more stories hidden in the smallest details of our world. And one last note, never try to make this at home, because we want you watching the next Blind Spot episode, not appearing on the evening news. Goodbye.